Hey guys, Matt here, RCGroups.com. Thanks for tuning in to part 2 of our sub 0.5 pound or 249 gram FPV build to get underneath the FAA's minimum weight for registration of 249 grams. Now this is a high performance FPV wing with full OSD and GPS return to home capabilities. This is the Ready-Made RC Mini Swift at 21.5 inches. We have our Dragon Link long-range receiver here. We have our Ready-Made RC Cricket 600 milliwatt 5.8 VTX with an IB Crazy whip antenna. We have our Ready-Made RC Pico camera here at 520 TVL lines. That's great for this size camera. We've got a Minim OSD with MW OSD firmware flashed on here for a full capable OSD with return to home arrow on it. I've also got the GPS out here in the wing. This is an EagleTree V4 GPS that I used from another system, just happened to have it on hand. And we have a Nanotech basically 1000 milliamp 3-cell on here. Now the all-up weight of this plane is only 230 grams, which is very lightweight. So I'll go ahead and say right off the bat, it does not fly well in wind. You definitely want to fly this one in low wind. But check this out. There we go, 230 grams, ready to fly. This is a fast plane. I did maiden it yesterday between snow showers and between wind gusts. And I don't even want to show it to you because it was so bumpy up there, but it was definitely a fast airplane. It had great flight time. I flew for 8 minutes. And it had enough with the cold weather and only burned about I'd say 15% of the pack. So it was at 77% left after 8 minutes of flight with almost full throttle. So it does fly, and it flies well, and I'll do a full flight review of it when the wind dies down. It's just not ready yet for that. But what we're going to do is go ahead and hook up the user interface for the MW OSD firmware on this Minim OSD Micro. That's a lot to say, I apologize. And we're going to show you how I set it up for GPS capabilities and whatnot. So we can monitor RSSI, we can monitor voltage, we have full GPS, and it takes a little bit of setup, but it's not too difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and show you now. Alright, I'm going to start with the basics, give you just a little bit of information about the Minim OSD Micro. This is it right here. It is available from readytoflyquads.com, and I'll put the link in there. It's very small, much smaller than a postage stamp, and has quite a bit of functionality. It's basically a Minim OSD without all of the voltage inputs and outputs. So it just takes away all of that aspect of it, just gives you some pads to solder to, and gives you all the information that you would need for a flight, assuming you're adding in some external components such as a GPS. You can also add in an external current sensor or something like that. So the only other component that you're going to need to flash the Minim OSD Micro with MW OSD firmware is this MTDI connector, which is also available for only, I think, about $5 from Ready to Fly Quads. You can buy the two together. This is only 10 bucks. You're looking at $15, I guess, shipped under 20 bucks for this OSD and the FTDI adapter here. So what you'll do is you'll plug your computer in, you'll download MW OSD. It's pretty easy to Google, and you just download it. Then you're going to connect to the FTDI adapter, and then plug the FTDI adapter into the Minim OSD. Now it comes with these pins here. They're not soldered on, so you're going to have to do all the soldering yourself. So I will say, if you're not very good at soldering, you might want to have somebody do it, but most of us out there are pretty good at it. So you'll plug this in like so. There we are. And now we'll head over to the user interface, and I'll show you how to make some adjustments to the OSD. Alright, I'm going to do my best to explain this. It's not very difficult, but it is an Arduino based application. So after you download MWOSD from the site, you'll get this file here, and inside of it you have the actual firmware to upload and flash the board with to add MWOSD to it. Then you also have the MWOSD graphic user interface. This is where you're going to make your changes after you have uploaded MWOSD. So first thing to do is to download Arduino. You can just go to Arduino and download it. It's pretty easy to do. And you have these options here. This is what you're going to want to use to flash the board once it's hooked up via USB through that FTDI cable. So you'll click into here. It'll start Arduino. Let's see if I can zoom in for us. All right. So you have a number of options in the config.h section that you're going to use. The first thing to do is to upload MWOSD if you haven't done it already, and it will let you know that it's uploaded. The next is to go into config.h and set it up for the unit we're using. And in this case, let's see if I can open this up a little bit. Like so. All right, in this case, all you do is add these forward slashes to basically cancel something out or to define it. So if you're using a certain minim OSD, the standard minim OSD, you would uncheck this one by removing these two. Or if you're using the White Spy V1, we're using the White Spy Micro, also known as the minim OSD Micro, so I have removed the two forward slashes. See, right now it's grayed out. And so we've selected that, and then the only other thing to really do is to define whether you're using this unit with a flight controller, such as the MultiWii, as the NASA, as some different Harikiri, some stuff like that. We're only using it as a standalone OSD with a GPS. Now there's multiple different types of GPS protocols out there. You have NMEA, you have MTK, and you have U-Blocks. Now we're using NMEA because it's a EagleTree GPS, so we've got this one unchecked here, or ungrayed out, if you will. So this says if you are using a NMEA compatible GPS module for a GPS based OSD, then uncomment this, and we did. And now we have to define, this doesn't really matter because we're not using a flight controller, but I've got it defined as fixed wing, and that's it. Once you're done, you press upload, and it will upload it to the board. And then now you're done in here, and you can go into the graphical user interface. No, we're not making any changes. Now we're in the interface for MWOSD, or the minim OSD Micro, and the MWOSD firmware. So this is where you're going to make all your adjustments, and you need to know what COM you're on and your baud settings, your port settings. I have it set to 38400 on this one. That's the only, you've got to set it up so it communicates correctly by picking the correct baud. And then we're on COM3, and you can check that over in your system settings to see what port is being used. So we're using COM3, and I'll double click that. Waiting, waiting, waiting. There we are. Over here is what will be represented in the goggles when we fire it up and look through the goggles. Now, you have so many different settings here, such as voltage and display amperage, video voltage, your RSSI information, imperial metric, all the standard stuff that you use when you're setting up an OSD. This information is in here, and you can play with this sort of stuff. But for now, we have display RSSI, We have display voltage from the main voltage here, and we have our GPS settings as well as a compass up at top for GPS. That's pretty much it. There are some threads on RCGroups that go over some different stuff. You like my call sign here, I put that as poop. We're not displaying a call sign right now, but you get the idea. And it's a little toilet humor for you, thanks. And over here in our layout editor, even if some of these things are enabled and disabled, they may not show until you actually define them as enabled within the actual layout. You can do custom layouts. See, we're on custom layout heads-up display number 12. Let's back it up to number 11. You see you have a lot of different changes there. Sort of a minimal approach without anything. And if you're not using GPS, you could just use this, which has your voltage, your RSSI, and a flight or an on timer. We have all sorts of different styles here. 5, 4, 3, 2. This one's off completely. And here's the Shiki Minimal. This is one that shows you GPS, your altitude, RSSI. These are just presets, and you can define your own as well. So here's the one I've created. You can move all this stuff around. You can add left and right. There's really no limit to how you use this. You can also make it so you can change your OSD display in flight by using switches here. You can change OSD channel 0 through 7 to switch and set it up. So once you're done, you set it up correctly and you press right over here, and it's going to save everything to the Minim OSD. There you have it. That is a brief look at the Minim OSD Micro with MW OSD firmware uploaded. And we're ready to fly. Like I said, I did fly it yesterday just to do a trim check and all that stuff, and she flies really well, no problems whatsoever. However, it was so windy that I had to cut it short. It was blowing literally 20 miles an hour. And with a wing that weighs under half a pound and only 21 inches in length, it's just almost unmanageable. So what we'll do is we'll wait for the wind to die down here, and I'll go ahead and finalize this review slash build slash tutorial. And I'll show you that yes, you can have a high performance FPV wing with full OSD and GPS under half a pound. So thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for our next installment.